What is up? We're back in business. NJ with MIB. This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. It is Sunday, November 21st, 2021. Coming off a 2-0 loss, the Leafs did to the 91-92 Pittsburgh Penguins, who they just cannot beat. Mr. Augello, good morning.
Good morning, Norm. It was an adventurous day trekking my way through southern Ontario. I found out after I bought the ticket for the GO train in Burlington that the GO train was out from Oakville to Toronto because of weekend construction. So I ended up on a mega bus from Oakville to Toronto, crammed like a sardine. But otherwise, I'm fine.
Did you guys all get pulled over and tested?
No. Well, hey, I think I'm the most tested person in North America because I have to test every time I cross the border, which apparently the Canadian government will not reciprocate since the Americans are letting them into the country. We're going to have to keep testing until time immemorial. So screw you. I almost said Pierre Trudeau, but it's Justin.
Which Pierre Trudeau?
The one with Barbara Streisand. That's the one.
It's an international incident. This is the combo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. oakridgeford.com, 0% on Escape. Edges are done. Explorers are done. We'll be seeing the 22 models coming in here in the next few weeks. But if you're looking for a inexpensive all-wheel drive with all the stuff, all the tech, all the safety, and Escape is your best bet. You're like $500 a month Canadian tax in for an all-wheel drive vehicle that is battle-tested and ready. These Escapes are like tanks, Mike. You guys can get at me in the comments section. Some details on our Leafs Convo hoodie non-giveaway. We didn't reach our numbers, but I have another offer for you, converts and OGs, and I think this one will work, and I'll give away 2 hoodies. Chris Daniels, Joe Shedler, Ted from Florida, all in the chat right now. So the Maple Leafs, a 5-game win streak, crowding Florida for first in the Atlantic, and then Pittsburgh rolls into town. Look, we saw the Leafs put up a dud against the Kings a week and a bit ago. Then they won 5 straight. Do we just chalk this one up to, another loss that has to happen along the way? Or were there things that concern you that happened or did not happen in this game?
Not concern me. I mean, Sheldon Keefe wasn't concerned. I mean, obviously, when you go 10-1 in your last 11, I think you're waiting for a game that maybe you should win that you're not going to. And last night, they hit 4 either crossbars or posts. I think Nylander hit 2, Marner hit 1, Engvall hit 1. Jari made a number of really good saves. But, more than that, I from the very outset, I picked up on they're holding the puck too long. They're making the extra pass. They're trying to pass it into the net instead of shooting it. And then when they do shoot it, it's getting blocked. And then Jari will make an unbelievable save. It just, from the very outset, I just got the feeling that this is not going to be their night. And Sheldon Keefe was asked after the game, why didn't you shake up the lines? He says it wasn't a line problem. It was a Pittsburgh problem. Pittsburgh outworked them, out-hustled them, got to the loose pucks. Now it was to a greater extent last month when they got Polacks 7-1. It wasn't that one-sided. This was a game till the very end, but the Leafs just couldn't break through, even on a 5-on-3 in the third period for almost 2 minutes where, their power play just didn't work yesterday. Their power play's been good.
0 for 4.
Yeah, 0 for 4. But the 5-on-3 for 1 minute and 49 seconds. Now, they had scored 9 goals in the last 10 games, so the power play had been producing, but last night it just didn't work.
Chris Daniels, the Pens are incredible at applying pressure. They never give you a second's rest. The Pens are 2-0 against the Maple Leafs. That first game, I don't think the Leafs really felt like they had started the season officially themselves. They were just beaten by a team that seemed a little more determined than they were last night.
Yeah, I don't know if it was hustle or I don't think it was. I think the Leafs wanted it. But Pittsburgh, they had they had a spring in their step. They were winning the puck battles. and then when the Leafs did win the battle, or did get a chance, it just seemed like they would get a stick on it, or they would get a skate on it, or it would hit the post. It was just, now, you could also say there were good things about the game. Like, I thought Michael Bunting was really effective last night. He drew a couple penalties that, power plays were the way for this team to get back into the game. They didn't convert, but they weren't winning a lot of battles 5-on-5, so they needed the man advantage, and Bunting was extremely effective at getting underneath the skin of the Penguins. But it just wasn't their night, and like I said, based on their success in recent weeks, you can't really complain too much.
Yeah, the Leafs, again, 0 for 4 on the power play. They had been scoring goals with the man advantage, and that's an encouraging thing. Last year was a complete disaster, at least the last half of the season was, in terms of special teams, especially with the Leafs having that man advantage and needing to score goals. They did not. Hopefully things evolve in a positive direction this year. 20 blocks for the Penguins.
Yeah.
The Leafs gave away the puck 17 times. Those numbers don't lend to a successful evening, and it certainly wasn't for the Leafs. Gunsel and Jeff Carter still kicking around with the goals for the Pens. Jack Campbell played well. Campbell played well, and now Joseph Woll tonight. We'll get into a couple of things. The Islanders, including an ex-Islander, here in just a couple of seconds. I just wanted to mention that I do have some combo hoodies to give away. So here's the thing. We did have a great response to the last proposition. We did not reach the number that we typically do in order to kind of pull the trigger on the contest and getting a winner for one of these hoodies. So I have a new idea for us. There's an Islanders game tonight, so the likelihood of us hitting some major numbers is slim. However, if this post can get to 500 views before puck drop, that's a pretty modest ask. So tell your friends, get everybody on board. We need some new OGs. We need some new converts. Actually, that doesn't make sense. If you're an OG, you're an OG. We need new converts. If we get to 500, what I'll do is I'll draw a name from today's post. All you have to do is go below the post on YouTube, type in "I'm in," and you can leave a comment too. Don't be afraid to let us know how you feel about the team. Just type in "I'm in," and then what I'll do is I'll draw someone from today's podcast, someone who's contributed, and from last week's what was it? Wally Good. I'm just amazing at putting headlines together, Mike, and captions and thumbnails. So I'll actually give away 2 hoodies today. All this post has to do is get to 500 views on YouTube, and we'll go from there. So, Mike, the Leafs are going into the Islanders. I guess they have a new building now, and they're the last place team in the league. And I'm sure on social media you'll have all the Dubas heads and all the Leaf fans chirping the Islanders and their situation right now. And that God Lou not exactly pulling strings on an successful endeavor right now, and that remains to be seen if it continues down that road, and I don't think it will. However, going into this game with the Islanders on the road, the Leafs are 3-3. Joseph Woll's in net. Does this have the all the hallmarks of a major disaster, or do you think the Leafs will take advantage of a team that's a bit down and out right now and get back into their winning ways?
Well, I mean, first, the Islanders are coming back off of a 13-game road trip. They had to play on the road since the beginning of the season because the UBS arena was still the finishing touches were still being put on it. And I've heard from people who are in that area that there's issues with the rapid transit and the stop on the LIRR and all whatever. I mean,
are you going to give us the urban planning layout?
Exactly. What am I, Robert Moses? But no. But yeah. No. I mean, so there are issues, but it's a brand spanking new building. But it wasn't an optimum situation for them to start on the road for 13. And they're worse than in the Metro. I don't think they're as bad as Arizona or bad as some of the.
They're off to a shitty start.
Right,
5 straight losses.
they're under 500, but I think that they're good enough that they can climb back into it. But that being said, I mean, the Leafs go into a situation where you're still going to have those rabid morons who are going to be booing John Tavares, who, made some nice comments about, the organization and the fact that it was good that they got a building finally after years and years. I mean, Mike Zeisberger asked him a question yesterday about the fact that when they were playing at Barclays, they had to take the train into the game because most of them lived on Long Island, or they had to take the train to go to the practice facility. I mean, it was just not a good situation. They were really a team without a home for a number of years, and now finally they do have it. So, this is going to be tough but the one good thing is both teams are coming off. It's the second of back-to-back. They lost to Calgary in the opening of the building. The Leafs lost last night to Pittsburgh. So fatigue will be on an even playing field. Definitely, I mean, Joe Wall in his second NHL game, he said all the right things. He sounds like he's a confident kid, but we still don't know what he is in terms of an NHL goaltender. He played well against Buffalo last week, but there were a couple goals that I think he'd want to have back. So we'll see what happens. But really, the Leafs are going to have to break through offensively against a team that traditionally is very tough to break through offensively. And I believe they have some absences regarding COVID, so they're not going to be at full strength. But I mean, these are the games, and this is the beginning of I believe 4-game road trip where after tonight they go to the West Coast.
Yep.
The Leafs are they've played a sizable chunk at home and they've been really good at home. They need to start winning on the road. Now they're playing more road games. They need to I would say just not be a 500 team, but better than that. And now we'll see what they do in the next 4 games.
Veets, morning boys. Vito from Markham, not Woodbridge. Thank you very much, Veets, for clarifying that. Wilford Witzke, was that the real Leafs last night? I mean, it probably, but it's okay to lose, especially after you've won 5 in a row.
Yeah, what's the old baseball analogy? Even the best team loses 1/3 of their games. Even the worst team wins 1/3. I mean, you're not going to go 81-1. So yeah, I think that those are games where you limit the team to 2 goals and you get a very good goaltending performance out of Jack Campbell, that you want to win those games. Like I said, I mean, they're winning games right now in a non-traditional way that the Leafs win. I mean, they're winning 2-1 games, and that's normally not what they do. They usually outscore the opponent and bludgeon them with their offense. So, I mean, that's encouraging when it gets to that time of the year. But I think right now, when they have an opportunity to break through against a team, they're having a little bit of trouble doing it. But I mean, I'm not ready to push the panic button right now because they're in the top 3 in the Atlantic Division.
Mike V, I expect 82-0. So do we.
Yeah, there you
go. Michael Matthew, true OG. I think he lives in Trinidad and Tobago. Amazing. And jerkball normal. I agree. We lost, but we didn't get totally destroyed. That's the key. We didn't get totally destroyed. This is the column for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario, oakridgeford.com. Reach out to me for all of your vehicle needs. I know I'm dealing with some converts right now over potentially pre-owned units. And then I do get a lot of inquiries on vehicles. Hey, Ford's a huge brand, and they're a big supporter of our podcast, so we'd like to support them. Here's another way you can support us. Make sure to let everybody know about what we're doing. I have hopefully 2 hoodies to mail out Monday, Tuesday to OG convert, a newbie, whatever you want, visitor to the podcast. All we need to do is get this show to 500 views before puck drop. Leafs Islanders in New York tonight. And I will be drawing 2 names, one from the collection of entries from last week's podcast and one from the one that's happening right now. So I want to get these ones out to you guys so you can rep us big time. And here's another thing. We're going to create some more gear. And I'd like to get your feedback, whether in the community section or below this post. What kind of gear would you like to see? Hats, T-shirts, zip-ups, hoodies, socks, lederhosen. Mike, is there a traditional Italian garb that we can put the Leafs Convo logo on for just for you?
Yeah, not a ripped, greasy wife beater. No. Let's avoid that, please.
That's oh, Michael. Okay, so the Leafs. Here's the thing, right? Like they've 12 wins, and they're right there. They're second in the Atlantic, but Florida's like 71 goals for. The Leafs are, I think, +3. I know they're playing a little more tactically. I know they're playing a little more defensively. It doesn't seem like anything we're really having to worry about. But should we be, a little more focused on this lack of offense? These Leafs, these top four, and everybody else, we're expecting big goals from these guys. Austin Matthews, a ton of shots last night, 7 goals. He's not going to win the Rocket Richard Trophy again at this pace. I'm not making a huge deal out of it.
Yeah.
But should we not only want but expect more offense from these guys at this point?
Well, the concern about Matthews more than anything, I mean, you would expect the slow start with him coming off the wrist surgery. I get that. His shot doesn't seem to be effective. I think affected. What I think right now is a little concerning is his lack of potency 5-on-5. Scoring on the power play. He's getting off the one-timer. But 5-on-5, he isn't driving offense. And, the thing that I've been noticing the last few games, and it's not for lack of opportunities, but this team goes, I think, only so far. Okay, their core four were red hot. They win a bunch of games, but they need games like the game that they won 2-1 earlier in the week when Morgan Rielly scores 2 goals against the Rangers, and it wasn't the core group; it was secondary offense. Last night, Engvall had a couple games ago. He had 3 or 4 opportunities, couldn't score. Last night, he hits the post. Wayne Simmons is contributing on the fourth line. He's physical. He's setting up plays. I don't believe he has a goal. If he has, maybe he has one. Nick Ritchie had a phenomenal chance. Mitch Marner set him up. He drove to the net. I thought he worked well with that line, but he's got 0 goals in now 19 games.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's probably the worst goal drought of his career, and he's playing with Matthews and Marner. So these are the things that I think have to be concerning. And, I think they're going to stick with Ritchie right now because I think they're paying him $2.5 million. They need him to start producing. But I like, Chris in the chat says, I used to defend Ritchie, but honestly, at this point, he seems to be bringing that first line down. I don't think he brought the first line down yesterday. He was physical. He was making plays. He's just not converting. And then maybe at a certain point, if he continues not to convert, then they have to move him off that line. But I don't think he's weighing them down.
Steven Skirtich, P.S. Love the show. Long-time listener. First time I caught the show live. Steve's got some comments here on the Leafs being very weak on the defensive side of the puck. The forecheck is soft, no finishing of checks. Opposition isn't scared to get hit by a Leaf forechecker. Legs stop moving too early.
Steve, this is Steven. Okay, they're not going to run you into the wall like Calgary or Washington. They're not a big physical offensive team. They win puck battles. They win, or ideally they stick check. They're positional. They're not a big physical offense or a defensive team. That's the way that they're going to win. And I don't think that they're weak on they haven't been weak on the defensive side of the puck ever since they started winning games in the middle of last month. I know people were saying, or somebody in the chat said something about Rasmus Sandin didn't have a good game. That was one of her. I don't think that was one of his better games yesterday, but overall, he's been really good. And how he does it, he's not, knocking people on their ass. He's out skating them. He's, he thinks the game. Him and Liljegren are not going to rub players out along the boards. They're going to, activate offensively, move the puck forward, rely on their skill. And that may not be everybody's cup of tea, but that's the way that they, they have, put this team together, and that's the way they're going to work.
But that's the thing, Mike, when it's working, we're fine with it. When it's not working, we're looking for something that we believe the Leafs don't have. That's just typical of anyone who analyzes the game, loves the game, watches the game. And that's what we do here on the Convo. Where did I see that comment? Michael Matthew back in it. Let's have a look at Josh Ho-Sang, 7 goals and ready. Actually, 8 goals with the overtime winner against Lehigh Valley. He's 25. I mean, he's a bit of a reclamation project, and we don't even know if he's going to step on the NHL ice with the Maple Leafs. The Leafs, they're not in dire straits, right? Like, what do we want? We want a team that's going to win. We want a team that's going to win effectively, professionally, and playing a defensive game is the key to not only winning now, but winning through the playoffs. So maybe that's what the Leafs are evolving into. However, we've been spoiled with all of the excessive offense. So it's a bit of a transition for us too. We'd like to see more offense, and we'd like to see this game be tight defensively. Ho-Sang, the whole point of bringing him on board wasn't just to allow him to earn a paycheck, out of charity. There was an idea here. Is this idea moving closer to potential fruition with the promotion of this cat to maybe join the Maple Brothers and see what he can do, and maybe ignite things from a different perspective?
Well, there's no doubt that right now it's been a success in terms of bringing him on, in terms of taking a flyer on him. Remember, he was a first-round pick of the Islanders. At a certain point with the Islanders, there were off the ice issues, nothing of a sinister nature, but just, he was just somebody who wouldn't conform to what they wanted out of him, and maybe didn't really want to round out his game the way they wanted him to. And then, Barry Trotz comes in, and it's, two-way play, and Lou Lamoriello comes in, and he's not interested in somebody who's not going to conform to the team ethic. And, it got to a point where he wasn't even playing with the Islanders American Hockey League team. They were just like giving him away to some other team because they didn't want him around. I think Ho-Sang realizes at the age that he's at that this is his last good opportunity, and he's from the area, and, I'm sure it's a dream of his to play for the Leafs. And but remember, he's on an AHL contract. He's not on an NHL deal. As soon as they sign him to an NHL contract, the only reason to do that would be to call him up. If they call him up and then decide, okay, it's too early, or he's not working out, then they have to put him through waivers. Maybe there's nobody claiming him, but I guess they really want to be sure that he is, flying the straight and narrow, that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. And, right now on the ice, talent has never been the issue. Right now he's got 8 goals in 12 games. He's second in the American Hockey League in scoring, in goals. So it's been a success, but I think, and could I see later on in the year, closer to the deadline, them saying, okay, well, Nick Ritchie's not working. Ilya Mikheyev and Pierre Engvall couldn't put a puck in Lake Ontario if they were standing on Lakeshore Boulevard. So let's see. No, he doesn't have to clear waivers to come up. He does.
How quickly he answers your questions, just like that. He's mid thought. He answers your question. Then he pounds through with his whatever the hell he wants to say. It's amazing, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, no, he doesn't have to clear waivers to come up. He would have to clear waivers. They can call him up. They could sign him to the NHL deal and call him up, and then everything is good. But I think they want to make sure that he is, that he has turned over a new leaf, so to speak. And if he has, then they found themselves a success story. And so I think that opportunity will be availed to him if he keeps playing this way. Now, maybe they want to see him have a little adversity down with the Marlies. I mean, everything has worked great for them. Let's see how he reacts if all of a sudden he goes 6 games without a goal. But I think that's an option that they could explore later on in the year, just as they may explore later on in the year with Kyle Clifford, who I don't think anybody was again. Remember, Kyle Clifford was traded from the Kings along with Jack Campbell right before the pandemic, played in the bubble, decided to sign a 2-year deal with St. Louis. The Leafs apparently wanted him back. I don't know whether they offered him a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal. He decided to go to St. Louis. So St. Louis, he played almost a full year last year as a sort of a fourth liner. This year, had COVID, only got in the lineup occasionally. They had sort of a youth movement, so they're sort of moving on from him. The Leafs get him during the week for future considerations. I was told by somebody last night that the future considerations might be nothing. It might be they got him for free.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, and I saw him play a couple periods yesterday against Lehigh Valley. Once he gets ramped up, I think he could be on the Leafs. I mean, he cleared waivers, so they don't have to call him up right away.
And they wouldn't be bringing him up to ignite the offense.
No, but if you want players with a little more crash and bang, I mean, if you want that fourth line to be a Clifford, Simmons, and Spezza, I mean that, and then move Bunting up or something like that. Throw Slipper. Oh, there you go. Yes, that and truer words have never been said. But yeah, so I mean, somebody asked me why did they make the Clifford move? It's a no lose. They like him. They know him. And it's veteran depth, and it doesn't cost anything. So it's a smart move. I mean, we don't know how many moves the Leafs are going to be able to make at the deadline, simply because we don't know what kind of cap room they're going to have. Probably not much. So these type of little sort of small maneuvers that might be what they might be limited to make before the deadline.
This is the Convo for Oak Ridge Ford. Norman, London, Mike enjoying a beverage in Cheektowaga, New York. Do you want one of these, guys? I've got hopefully 2 to give away. We just need to get this post to 500 views. I sound like a desperate podcast salesman.
Give us 5,
please watch. But I want to give some of these away, and then we can create a whole new set of gear for the converts and OGs who want to get their hands on them. And I get emails all the time. Norm, I want to buy one. I want to get one. Send one to me. What kinds of memorabilia, paraphernalia do you have? We'll certainly, create some more for you. But I like to liquidate what I have. We just have to hit a couple of milestones here. It's good for the podcast. It's good for the project. We appreciate it. Just a couple more favors, because I'm always asking the OGs and converts for things. You don't have to send us any money or anything like that. Go to hockeybuzz.com. Make sure that you're supporting Mike's columns there and elsewhere. You can follow Mike on Twitter at Mike in Buffalo. For me, do me a favor. If you guys are on Facebook, can you go to Norm at Oak Ridge Ford? That's my Oak Ridge Ford page. Click on the like button. I'm trying to get to 1,000 likes for the Norm at Oak Ridge Ford page. We're all helping each other here, Mike. You brought up the crash and bang kind of philosophy that the support players like Simmons and Clifford could have. You can have that and still be an offensive juggernaut, right? And just looking at the production from the Tavareses and the Marners, he doesn't score a lot of goals, but he could score more than he does right now. And Austin Matthews. If the Leafs do hone in on a 200-foot game, a more defensively responsible game, and do put biscuits in the basket when they have the man advantage, sure, we may see less goals 5-on-5, which would be unlike last year's bonanza, when things were at even strength. Isn't that going to be okay? Like maybe this team is transitioning in the right direction, and yet Matthews may only score 38, 39, maybe 40 goals. But at the end of the day, if they're more defensively responsible and give up fewer goals, would that not be progression in and of itself?
Well, that's the way you win in the playoffs. And I guess what their message here is, okay, we need to model what we need to do in the postseason by doing it in the regular season. And I'm a proponent of that. I completely agree. But, you know, I think teams can be multidimensional and be able to score and be able to play defense. And the good teams, like, say, Tampa, you know, when they see a team that's vulnerable defensively, they step on their neck and they kill them. And, you know, like against Buffalo, I mean, they scored 5 goals, but Buffalo is barely an NHL team. They're an AHL team. Tampa Bay lost to them early in the year. So,
yeah.
You know, every team has, you know, they can take teams for granted, whatever. I think it's good that the Leafs are winning games by not blowing teams out, 6-1. I do think that, you know, as with the game in Buffalo last week, they were up 4-2 in the third period and sat back, and Buffalo came back and tied the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of been spotty in the sense that they've played much better team defensively, but they sometimes get back in that habit where I think they take things for granted and sort of sit back. When they scored the first goal, they've been extremely successful. When they fall behind, then I think they press a little bit. And last night, like I said, I saw a number of instances throughout the game where they made the extra pass, where they held on to double clutched and held on to the puck too long, where the wrong players were getting the opportunities and where the good players were getting their shot blocked. So, I mean, it was just, I think, a sort of, like I said, a confluence of bad things happening for one game. But this will be, you know, this road trip will be a test. You know, the Islanders are struggling, as you mentioned. The Kings, the Sharks, and the Ducks are all exceeding expectations right now. The Anaheim is playing extremely well. So this is not going to be like the three cakewalks in Southern Cal or 3 cakewalks on the West Coast. You know, if they go 2-1-1 on a 4-game road trip, they probably would be happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Leafs don't give up too many goals, and Jack Campbell's a big reason why. Plus the defensive core, Mike. How many years did you and I lament just how terrible that defensive group, aka the Keystone Cops, were performing back there? We haven't gone on about it, so it's. I mean, things are happening under our nose in terms of, you know, this team evolving into something that is more responsible and, you know, putting itself in better position to do well in crunch time. You know, we can bring up what happened against the Habs and the top guys just not scoring goals, but it wasn't like the Leafs had the shit kicked out of them or they were just falling apart or destroying themselves defensively. So this is nice to see. But, you know, we go through the minutia and the details of this organization and its attempt to be better. And it may seem like we're harping on things or trying to emphasize or accentuate little things a little too much. But, you know, as the team takes shape and evolves, we have to find something to talk about. And there's always going to be something else to improve upon. But, you know, again, the bottom top 10 and fewest goals against, which is nice to see. And, you know, I guess along the way, there are going to be those nights where the Leafs just go off. But in between, as long as they score more than the other team and they limit chances against and they're responsible defensively, they should be okay. But I mean, geez, in a week or two, the bottom might seem like it's falling out on us because, again, the Reaper lurks. You know, the Reaper lurks.
On the defense, I mean, the advancement of Liljegren has been extremely helpful, solidifying that bottom pairing. It's given Sheldon Keefe the ability to rotate the 3 defensemen Dermott, Liljegren, and Sandin. Ever since Hall got back in the lineup, he's played much better than he did earlier in the year. I think that was a creation more of him and Jake Muzzin struggling. Now Muzzin seems to be, I think fairly back to where he normally is. And the Brody Riley pair has been pretty solid. I mean, they'll have their occasional blip, but they'll, pretty much they're solid and good to go. So yeah, their defense, I still think they're missing, that Zach Bogosian penalty killing tough nut in front.
If only they had someone like that. Oh wait.
Yeah, well, but I think that they needed to find out whether Liljegren was an NHLer, and I think he is, and I think he's playing well with Sandin. That pairing, they're really effective, and it's sort of good in terms of like how the construct of the team, where these players are. I mean, Sandin and Liljegren really haven't established themselves in the NHL yet, and they're at the end of their entry level contract. So more than likely next year when they sign a new deal, they're not going to be signing this 5-6 year deal for $7-8 million. It's going to be probably a bridge deal making, a couple million, and that fits into what the Leafs can afford. But when we've talked about Jack Campbell and what he's going to cost on a new deal, and there's going to be pieces that are going to have to be moved around the board for them to fit in Riley's new contract and Campbell's new contract if they do sign them. So, but those are next year problems, or those are next summer problems. Right now, they're just concerned with what they're getting out of their players, and defensively, the blue line has solidified, and it's a different construct with this team in terms of their forwards, because last year I think they went more with 3 offensive lines and a 4th line. This year they've got the 2 offensive lines. There's, I think, a little bit of a softness on the left side because they're not sure of what they really have. And that 3rd line is a pure checking line with Kampf and Kasha. And they've played well, but they're a 0 offensively. You can't expect that line to score goals. So that puts more pressure on Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares. And when they're hot, they win. And when they're not, they don't.
Yeah, I'd like to see them score a little more because I like goals. Don't we all? But I like the way they've been responsibly playing on the defensive end of things, and that's just been something that has evolved really well over the last season and a bit. 6 straight games against Western Conference opponents after the Leafs are done with the Islanders tonight. I know this is all part of a process, 82 games. It's the ebbs and flows. They've won 5. They lose last night, and they start a road trip, and maybe they stumble a bit against a team they should beat. Can the Leafs tonight, even with Joseph Woll between the pipes, rise to the occasion, knowing that they're playing a team that is not that good, that's still trying to get settled in, that has played way fewer games than most of their contemporaries in the league, knowing as well, I mean, they've got a bunch of games on the West Coast against teams that they've already lost to this season that are going to be tough. And beyond that, when they come home, you've got Colorado, you've got Winnipeg. I mean, tonight, opportunity knocks in terms of getting the deuce and getting back to a winning mindset and plowing through the West Coast with success. Last few points and we'll get out of here. Yeah,
I mean, the big key for the next month, 11 of the next 16 on the road. Mm-hmm. The 4-game road swing starting tonight. Then they come home for 1 game. Then they go Winnipeg, Minnesota, Winnipeg. Then a 3-game homestand. Then they go back for 5 more on the next 6 on the road. So they're pretty much on the road for the next month. And again, they haven't played a lot of road games. They've used up a lot of their home capital, and normally that's been an issue with this team where they've not taken advantage of of home ice, and they've been able to do that this year. But now it's going to have to switch. Now they're going to have to play a disciplined road style, and if they do, then they'll pile up points. One thing that Sheldon Keefe talked about yesterday, Mrazek got on the ice for the first time yesterday after re-aggravating his groin on November the 7th. He's probably not going to be back for at least another couple weeks. They'll take it slow because it's something that occurred again. So they'll make sure that he's 100%. I don't think they hustled him back the last time, but it obviously wasn't completely healed because he re-injured it. Ellie Mikheyev is skating, but he just had the pins removed from his thumb this week, so he's probably not another. It's probably going to be another month. So
goodness gracious,
yeah. So it was a broken thumb, so it was going to be 2 to 2.5 month injury. So
Sean Robertson, howdy boys, thanks as always for the pod. Jason M, anyone else worried for Wall tonight? Jeremy W, a little. Veets, me too. Teddy, I'm a little worried for Wall. Veets, that's a nasty environment on the island. And then Chris Daniels, goes without saying, with Wall and net, Leafs have to step up their game.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the Islanders, still haven't been able to figure things out. You haven't been able to get into a groove. Obviously, the new environment and having to play on the road for a little bit and then wait. They're still trying to find their feet. Let's hope tonight the Leafs aren't the ignition, right? They're not the game that gets this team going, because as the OGs have pointed out, you're going to have a faction of Islanders fans ripping on John Tavares like the jilted exes they are. Who cares? Get over it now, guys. But they will. It'll be it'll be a vocal. It'll be loud. And then with Joseph Wall in that, he's not like a complete newbie. He's been a professional. He understands how to play in tough environments just generally. But it still could be a situation where the Leafs find themselves taking on a team that's looking for a bit of a kickstart, and the Leafs are the perfect opponent for a team like the Islanders, considering the history, to use to advance the cause a little bit.
Yeah. The one concern I have is, one concern we don't have to have is Leo Komarov scoring against his former team, because he's headed back to the KHL. But the Islanders are going to be playing desperate hockey, and that building has not been exactly, not that building, but that area has not exactly been welcoming to the Leafs. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm predicting the Leafs pull it off tonight. I think they'll win 5-3, and I think Tavares will score, and they'll have some fun. As for what happens after that, I have no bloody clue. Hey, 2 hoodies. All we need to do is get to 500 views. That's a pretty modest target. 500 views for this post, and we'll reach 1,000 on last week's post, and I'll pick 2 winners of these hoodies. I have 2 large, 2 extra large. If you're bigger than that or smaller than that, there's nothing I can do for you. All you have to do to enter, below this post on YouTube, type in "I'm in," and then you can leave a comment about the Leafs, the game. Mike and I do that too. It's you can enter and then give us your 2 cents in addition, because we absolutely love it. Don't forget to follow Mike on hockeybuzz.com. His work's amazing. Mike, thanks so much for the pictures at Scotiabank Arena yesterday. That's some exclusive stuff that you can find on the community portion of the YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Leafs Convo. If you're there, hit the bell icon to get all of the updates that you need in terms of what we're doing with the Leafs Convo project. And why not subscribe too? We keep on keeping on. We're looking forward to finishing off this season with a bang, and we can do that with your support, coming back week in and week out. Mike, any last words? Because I think it's time to go.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. For Mike, I'm Norm. Talk to you soon.